Hi everyone, it's Pocket and welcome to part 2 of the wig making project. Today I'll show you how to make the wig. In the last video you saw me dye the fiber. We're actually not going to be using wool to make the wig, we're going to be using suri alpaca. Now, I'm not going to go into the pros and cons of using one fiber over the other, just because I think that's something everyone should find out for themselves, what they prefer to use. I really like suri alpaca and I'll show you some of its best qualities throughout this video. Just a quick run through of the materials you're going to need to make your wig. Obviously you're going to need your fiber, I have mine laid out right before me, and then most importantly, you're going to need a good glue to glue your fibers to a wig cap. Now I'm using Mod Podge because Mod Podge has always served me well throughout all the wigs I've made. It has not once failed me. I like it a lot. I like it mostly because it remains elastic once it's dried, so you can still bend it this way and that, and there's still a bit of give to it. And it dries clear, and obviously you're going to need the matte version if you want to make a wig, because you don't want little pieces of glue shining through your wig once it's done. You're going to need an old paintbrush, obviously, to handle your glue. I recommend getting one that is not too large, just so you have more control over what you're doing. And last but not least, you're gonna need a wig cap. Now let's talk about your wig cap. Your wig cap is extremely important because it's where all your fiber will go. And it's basically what will hold your wig together, and you will need a good wig cap if you want your wig to turn out nicely. I'm using a hand-sewn one, and the reason why is that I can sew the wig cap to my liking to fit my doll's head. And it's stretchy, I don't have to worry about it not fitting, and it goes on and you can immediately start brushing on your fibers. That's why I prefer a hand-sewn or hand-stitched wig cap. Your regular stocking fiber, which is what this is made of, but be careful, don't get a pair that has a bright color. Get one in nude or in white, so that the color won't shine through the fiber once the wig is done. This is just a rough estimate, but I have around 30 grams of fiber right in front of me, and one of these wefts here, one of these big ones, equal to all of these little ones. So you've got a lot of hair. You don't want to waste it, so don't be shy to split them up. So when you're splitting up your weft, be careful to always pinch it up top really firmly, so that you don't pull out the strands of hair unevenly. So you see, there's one, and there's the other. That's what you want to do. You don't want to pull out the strands of hair unevenly because you're not going to get them back the way they were. Suri alpaca especially is very slippery, and it gets static really easily. It's going to be a nightmare to get the hairs aligned again, so be really careful to have a firm grip on your fiber when you do it, just because it's a pain. But on the other hand, don't be afraid of losing fiber, because it just happens. What you lose is losses, and just concentrate on getting your fibers all nicely aligned, and if you lose some hairs, then so be it. So this is how far I've come with the wig right now. I've already covered over half of the wig cap with fiber. I think it goes without saying that you obviously need to protect your doll from glue and fiber, so just take some plastic wrap and wrap it around the head before you start. So you can see this is where I put Mod Podge on the weft. There is no right or wrong method, I guess, for layering your fibers. Just, you have to be aware of how hair falls. So if you want a certain look, you gotta bear in mind how hair behaves. Hair obviously falls in all kinds of directions. It's probably best to analyze your own hair first before making a wig, so you can just see how hair moves, and, you know, just when you're layering your fibers, that's something you gotta keep in mind, because if you layer them, if I would layer a fiber, for example, just a plain example, if I would layer a fiber like this now, the hair will fall in this direction. So obviously, if I want the hair to fall back, I'll have to layer it like this now. At the same time, over here, I have to be conscious that the hair falls down, because otherwise you're going to have this swept back look, which you don't want. You want it to be natural. So certain fibers need to be facing this way, and certain fibers need to be facing that way. And if you want a fringe, then you've got to stop at a certain point to be able to put your fringe in. So there are many different factors you have to consider. I just recommend looking at your own hair and really always being aware of what you're going for in the end and taking it step by step. So this is the top of the head right now. I've added this layer. Now you can see the glue's already kind of dried, so I can continue with my next layer. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting rather large wefts over so that they go right to the bottom. So I'm going to be needing longer wefts this time, and I'm going to show you how I add them on. But there really isn't more to it. You just go ahead and, like in rounds, you know, like in circles, basically, in semicircles, you add them on until you're happy with it. Always making sure that you're layering them in the direction that the hair falls naturally, obviously. So I'm going to be taking a semi-large weft. I think this one will be okay. This one should suffice. I'm going to be cutting it about here, meaning I'll have to waste this little bit here, but that doesn't really matter. It's not so much, but this will cover it up nicely. And it's going to be going right there. One thing that is really important, and it's still a mistake I do frequently, is you want to stick your wefts on your wig cap and not on the wefts underneath. That's a mistake I did with my second wig. With the first wig it wasn't so bad because I was using wool. Somehow it didn't make such a big difference. But with the second wig, which was also with alpaca, I stuck them right on the base of the wefts that I just stuck on, you know, from the previous round. And that was a mistake because what happens is you get so much volume down here, and then you start running out of wefts up here. You start thinning it out if you've got enough hair, and then it's just like, here's all volume and here like almost none. Alright, so I'm gonna cut a bit of this off now. I'm gonna cut it, yeah, should be cut. Cut it right about here. So you want to take a smooth surface. I'm using a glossy magazine. You want to apply glue to the front and to the back of your weft. Apply a good amount. You don't want to apply too much, but just enough so that it becomes wet or moist with glue. And as you can see now, quite a bit of hair was already pulled out by that. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors again, cut that off, and now I've got a really nice weft. This is what you want to work with. So now you want to put more glue in your brush. Carefully place the weft where you want it to go, and apply the glue. And while you're doing that, you want to fan out the hair so that every hair gets caught on glue. Ah, see, I just pulled out a piece of hair. Wasn't too good. That just happens. But you see, if I don't fan out the hair, the weft is clumped. That obviously makes it very uneven. So there you go. The hair is nicely spaced out. As you can see, now it's covering a good area. So on to the next weft. You want to measure it up. See if you can get it almost exactly the same length. Snip, snip. Covered in glue, front and back. Snip off excess strands that were pulled out. You got your weft. Dip your brush in glue. Layer it on there and space out the weft. It's definitely a learning by doing process. It's not something that you can just do. It's I mean, I still make mistakes. It's a bit tricky, but I find it very relaxing. Using a toothpick now, just to readjust the hair a bit. Put it into a position I think is better. Because Mod Podge does take a while to dry, so you can definitely still move around your weft once it's stuck to the wig cap. It's the next day now. I left the wefts to dry overnight, and as you can see I've made some changes. It's looking a lot better now. I added a lot of volume to her bangs, which was badly needed. They were looking a bit flat, so they've gotten a few more strands here and there. And I'll just give you a quick view from the top. As you can see, there's a lot less wig cap showing through now. there's one little spot here I've left for the top layer, and this part has been left free for the fringe, which I'm going to start now. I'm going to be gluing on wefts about this long, at least down to her nose. I'm going to be doing 2 rows of that, and then the last top layer. Okay, so here's the wig, and we're at the final stage of the process actually. All that's missing is the top layer. Yes, there is actually a doll under all this, I can vouch for that. It's a lot of hair obviously, and it has to be cut. Everything is now set for the top layer. So if we draw our gaze to the middle of the wig cap, where you can see there's still a little bit of the wig cap shining through. And here's where you put your top layer. Now, usually, if you have a part going down the side and your bangs hanging off like this, or if you have a part going down the middle, you would take a weft. You obviously leave your best wefts for the top layer because that's what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be looking at the top layer all the time, so you want to save your best looking hair for last. And you would take a weft, you would glue it on, I'm just demonstrating now, you would glue it on this spot here, the last spot where the wig cap shines through. You would glue it on, wait for that to dry, and then flip the hair over. So that would create a bump like this, but it would look kind of natural, obviously, if I would have a different part. Because the hair would be tucked in at the end, you would have kind of a seamless attachment. And obviously what you should do is you should place your top layer so that it's not too obvious that you're covering something up. So you want to be able to mix and mingle it in with your other hair so that it looks natural. And you want to make sure that your top layer, your top weft, is covering up all the glue, and that you've got none of that shining through. That's basically all you have to watch out for when using that method, and then you're set. Now, let me just quickly tell you what I'm going to be doing, because I'm not going to be using that method I just described. What I'm going to be doing is going to be puncturing a hole into the wig cap. Going to be taking it off, obviously, once all this is fully dry. Going to be taking a needle, puncturing a hole, and threading through the top layer. I'm basically just rooting the hair. I'll be rooting in, threading in the fringe, and then one more weft to flap over the back so that all the glue is covered and you will not be able to see any of that. Okay everyone, this is the wig. It's all done now and it's been cut, and I'm really quite happy with it. Of course, there are a few things I would like to have changed in the future. Like for example, this little lump up here, that was just due to all the hair we had to fill through the hole to get the part right, and yeah, it's not too bad. It's not looking too great though, but that's really just something really minimal, and if you style it right, you won't be able to see it. But all in all, I'm really happy with this wig, and I think it suits her very well, and until the next one, she will be very happy wearing this one. Here we can take one more look at the part. I think it looks really clean. So yeah, I hope you all had fun watching this little tutorial slash walkthrough slash project journal, and I hope it all made you understand it a little better, how it works, the whole wig making process. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and have a happy dolly day, guys. Bye!